Hello, everybody. This is Graham.
And this is Ashkahn.
And today's question for you, or I guess for us, is is there an upper age limit on floating?
Upper age limit on floating. What is the oldest age someone can float?
Is allowed to float.
Is allowed to float. I see. It's an interesting one because you can't really apply the same logic you apply to like youngest age. For like youth, you can just use real numbers, I think, because there's like laws and there's, but with old age, I feel like it's much more contextual about the person and kind of what state their body is in and stuff like that. Like it almost has less to do with actual specific age and more to do with their physical state. Yeah,
and I guess the concerns would be that, like, either someone's mentally not there and something's going to go wrong, or they're just not going to, like, I remember hearing a horror story about someone with dementia floating and coming to kind of in the float tank and her not realizing where she was or like how she'd gotten there, which is kind of crazy.
Interesting.
So there's like mentally not being there, and then also just on the physical side, right? Being a little more fragile, or, we have a lot of slippery salt water.
Yeah.
So the idea of someone slipping and breaking their bones just becomes more of a concern the older they get.
Or not being able to get out, like your body just got used to not dealing with gravity for a little bit.
And that's it, it's done. Never gonna deal with gravity again.
And I mean, incontinence, I guess, is the last thing on the list. Those are probably like the main concerns, I would say.
And again, none of these are specific to age, which I guess makes it an interesting question, right? Like you can imagine a 20-year-old who has some or all of those problems as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you can picture like a 90-year-old who's able to like get around and like who, we have no trouble putting in a float tank.
Right. So, yeah, I guess you can't really just set an age limit like that, can you?
And at least at Float On, we really don't have one. We more have, like, I guess, a mobility limit or something like that.
Yeah. Like, we make sure, if you have mobility questions, we make sure to clarify that we cannot help you get in and out of the float tank. Like, our staff's not trained to do that. We can't take on the liability of something like that, especially if it's for someone who has trouble physically getting in and out of a float tank.
So I guess, until I saw this question, I guess I'd never really thought about our upper age limit on floating, but I guess we tackle it more on the, like, condition side, or are actually addressing those worries that we have rather than actually putting any kind of age limit on there.
And again, it doesn't come up super often. We're not getting like a bunch of people coming in, lining up and like demanding to float. And we're like, you're too old, like you can't float.
Yeah, and I should say I just took a look at our stats on our ages of floaters that we've received over the years. And our oldest floaters self-reported on the books are 117 years old. So, and they're doing just fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. So, all right. I guess if they can do it, anyone can do it now.
And next below that's 103. So, yeah, it's doing good.
That would have been impressive if it had not been for the 117-year-old.
Two of them.
There's two people who were
117-year-olds, yeah.
A husband and wife who came in.
Just because they're married doesn't mean they're the same age.
Two twins who both lived that long.
Just because someone's twins doesn't So we addressed the kind of mobility side of things. I guess we don't really address the incontinence side.
I mean, like in my experience, if this comes up, they ask about it from their perspective. Like if someone's coming in who may have some concerns, they'll ask on the phone when they're making their appointment or stuff like that. That's almost always been the case for me. And like, that's all just included in my list. I'm like, hey, well, you have to get in and out of the float tanks. They can be slippery. It can be kind of difficult. So you got to make sure you're physically fit enough to do that. And, you're in there for a long period of time. Like you can't have any sort of incontinence issues or stuff like that. And I've even heard of someone before being like, oh, okay, well, never mind. I probably shouldn't do it then, and kind of realizing their own limits. So, it's I guess a little bit of a delicate situation, but I feel like just often they get asked, or they ask when they're booking appointments, and you just kind of be honest and list the things that make it difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then I guess the mental side as well is kind of on there, which, I guess like if, once again, it's like if people are able to go out and interact with the normal world in a way that's not difficult for them or the people around them, that's fine. If someone has a caregiver, we usually request that a caregiver actually come in. We've had people with even like not extreme autism, but definitely far enough along the spectrum that they're not interacting with the outside world on their own every day and stuff like that. And that's gone fine. We just actually have the caregiver stay in the room in that case.
Yeah.
And that actually ends up being the solution for mobility too, is we request that if they do have mobility issues and still want to use the tanks, we have an ADA room, and we just require them to bring in someone who can help them in and out of the tank or be that person.
Yeah.
So there you have it. No actual age limit, more like controls to make sure that the stuff that might go wrong doesn't become a problem.
Yep. Okay, cool. Well, if you guys have any further questions for us, you can hop over to floatanksolutions.com/podcast, put them in there, and we will take a look at them. And if we deem them worthy, they will be answered.
And we'll answer pretty much everyone.
Yeah, so they're pretty much all worthy. But,
all right, thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Yeah, bye.